Trauma isn't stored in your memories, it's stored in your nervous system, and your brain can learn safety again. So if you've been through something that you feel like you just can't move past, this is for you. If you've ever wondered, why do I react so strongly to things that I know shouldn't bother me? Why does a sound or a smell send me into a total panic? Or why can't I sleep? Why do I feel completely disconnected from myself? Why does my body respond before I even know what's going on? Or if you've thought, I should be over this by now, or that other people have been through much worse, what's wrong with me? Or maybe I'm just broken. You need to hear this really clearly. PTSD is not a psychological failure, it's a nervous system injury. Your brain responded exactly the way it was designed to do under threat, and it never fully got the message that the threat ended. So today, we're going to finally explain what trauma actually does to the brain, why PTSD symptoms feel so uncontrollable, why traditional coping strategies don't always help, and why you freeze, numb, or explode, and why your body remembers what your mind is trying to forget, and how a traumatized brain can learn safety again, even after years or decades past the trauma. So let's begin. Here's what PTSD really is, not what you've been told. Trauma is not the event. Trauma is what happens inside of your nervous system because of the event. So here's the true neurobiology. The amygdala, your threat response center in your brain, becomes hyperactive. This is your fear center, your smoke alarm. After trauma, it fires too fast, too intensely, and too often. This creates panic, a startle response, a sense of dread, constant scanning for danger, overwhelming feelings. The prefrontal cortex is an area of the brain responsible for rational thinking and staying grounded and emotional regulation. And this shuts down during trauma. Under trauma, it goes totally offline. And this is why you know you're safe, yet your body reacts as if you aren't. The hippocampus, another area of our brain, is responsible for memory, time perception, narrative framing, focus, and it goes offline as well. So PTSD keeps you stuck in fight, flight, freeze, and shut down. This is physiology, not weakness. So how do trauma symptoms actually show up in daily life? People think PTSD looks like flashbacks or nightmares, but much more often, PTSD looks like irritability, emotional numbness, shutting down, avoiding people or places, and feeling like you're not in your body or you don't have control of your body, constantly scanning for danger, startling easily, trouble concentrating, chronic insomnia, headaches, gut issues, exhaustion, shame, difficulty trusting, perfectionism, feeling disconnected from yourself or others. PTSD is not only emotional, PTSD is physical, neurological, and automatic. So why do you react so fast? This is the survival hijack. So if you feel like you overreact to things, here's the truth. Your reactions are not overreactions. They are survival reactions. Trauma is rewiring your brain to detect threat everywhere, even when threat is not present. So the tone of someone's voice, a slammed door, a smell, a look of disappointment, a memory, a scene in a TV show, a song, a crowded room, a change in someone's expression. So your brain says when these things happen, we've seen this before and it was dangerous. Let's protect ourselves now. And then your body responds instantly, sometimes by a pounding heart, shallow breathing, chest tightness, freezing, anger, dissociation. And by the time you realize what's actually happening, the reaction has already occurred. And it's not because you're unstable, it's because your survival system is too fast and too strong. Here are two types of trauma responses that people don't talk about. The first one is hyperarousal, the anxious and reactive type. This looks like panic, anger, startle, reactivity, jaw tension, insomnia, hypervigilance. And then there's hypoarousal, the numb, shutdown type. Looks like emotional flatness, feeling disconnected, exhausted, zoning out, gaps in your memory, difficulty expressing feelings. Most people with PTSD kind of bounce between both of these states, and it's not inconsistency, it's dysregulation. So You might ask, why can't I just get over it? Because trauma is stored in the amygdala, in the brainstem, in the vagus nerve, in the autonomic nervous system, your sensory memory. So it's not really in your logic centers. You can't reason your way out of a survival response. It's a very primal response. So PTSD is not necessarily about the past. PTSD is about a body still living in the past while trying to survive the present. The body remembers what the mind is trying to forget in these scenarios. Trauma is stored in our body. That's why PTSD often feels like tightness in your chest, like that pit in your stomach, or trembling, shaking, numbness, dissociation, derealization, chronic pain, headaches, GI disruption. Your body's not betraying you. Your body is protecting you, even when protection is no longer needed. It just can't really tell the difference. And this is why healing trauma requires a body based intervention, not just talk therapy. So, what actually heals PTSD? Trauma heals when your brain learns, I'm safe now, not intellectually, but neurologically. So, healing requires calming that amygdala so that the triggers lose intensity, reconnecting that prefrontal cortex so you can think clearly under stress, stabilizing the hippocampus where our memories are stored so memories stop being intrusive, and then rebalancing our autonomic nervous system so your body stops firing threat responses, and then increasing neuroplasticity so new brain patterns override those old trauma patterns. And this is why TMS is so effective for PTSD. It focuses on the exact circuits affected. So, how does TMS help a traumatized brain? Here's the real explanation. TMS doesn't erase your memories, it rewires the circuits that trauma disrupts. So, the first thing it does is calm the amygdala, that overactive smoke alarm. It reduces hypervigilance, reduces panic, emotional flooding, exaggerated startle responses. And people often say, I'm not scanning for threats anymore. I don't feel on edge, or my body finally feels calm. TMS also strengthens the prefrontal cortex, and this helps restore our emotional regulation, clarity, grounding, impulse control, and this allows someone to respond instead of react. TMS also restores neural balance, so it shifts you out of that survival mode. It also increases neuroplasticity, and this allows those well-worn trauma pathways to weaken while new, healthy, positive pathways form. TMS also improves sleep, and sleep is where trauma healing accelerates. TMS reconnects emotion and logic, so you no longer feel hijacked by your reactions. A calmer body means a safer brain. A safer brain means healthier thoughts give you a life that stops revolving around that trauma. Here's what trauma recovery actually feels like. You don't wake up one day and just feel healed. Healing looks a little bit more like this. You hear a loud noise and your body doesn't automatically jump, or someone raises their voice and you don't collapse internally. You walk into a room without scanning exits. A memory comes up and doesn't take your breath away. You sleep. This is a really big one. And then you laugh without guilt. Your shoulders drop. You feel present. You feel safe. And you feel like yourself again, maybe for the first time in years. So these moments are milestones of a nervous system returning home. Here's the message every trauma survivor needs to hear. If you've lived in survival mode for years, if the trauma feels like it's fused into part of your identity, if you've tried therapy, coping, grounding techniques, and if it feels like nothing has fully worked, hear this. You are not broken, you are not doomed, and you are not too far gone. Your brain learned trauma, and your brain can learn safety again. You are not weak, you survived, and now your brain deserves the chance to heal. If any of this felt familiar to you, if you heard your story in these symptoms, if you recognize yourself in these patterns, there is nothing wrong with you. Your nervous system is overwhelmed, not incapable of healing. If you're ready to feel safe again, if you're ready for your body to stop reacting before you can think, if you're ready to breathe without bracing, if you're ready for your life to expand again, Start a conversation with us. We're always here to help. That's it. A message, a question, a first step. Your healing is not behind you, it's in front of you, and we can help you get there. Thank you.